Welcome back, Dads, to the Full Force Fathers podcast. Alongside Dave, Brett here. We are on episode 75, Dave, which is a big number. It's like 75 cents, three quarters. We're three quarters of the way there.
3/4 to the century mark. How are you doing today?
Oh, I've had some technical difficulties to speak of, but we're here. We're recording. It's I love how because Dave is also known as Tech Guy, and it's hilarious because I'm plugged in my computer. I use my dollar store headphones sometimes, and then I busted out the good headphones, the expensive ones, and I will say this: I'm going to show those to you on camera because I have them here. Headphones like this, which are nice and expensive, and Dave said, "Oh, you look like a true podcaster now." They make me sweat. Like, it's nobody's business having my entire ear covered. It's like on my head. I don't know about you, Dave, but I am an earbuds person. I cannot wear big headphones.
I love seeing the people work out with the big ones on, like the Bluetooth ones, but they're like still like big. I'm like, I don't know how they do that because I used to wear those on planes, but same thing. I'd get so hot I'd want to pass out wearing those things. So I can't wear them anymore. I gave mine to Bryce.
Dude, brutal.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyway, so we have episode 75. We're happy to be here. Really quick shout out before we get going. Happy belated to my better half. Andine's birthday was just this past Friday. She turned 36 years old, Dave. Can you believe it?
Ooh,
she's like she's like an old lady, dude. So happy belated to my better half. She's awesome. We did some celebrating, just hang out. She wanted to check out this new restaurant. It's not a new restaurant to us. I don't know. Have you ever eaten at Bottego Michelangelo?
Yes.
The one on the corner of Oracle and McGee?
Yeah. Well, you guys are really going far from home.
Dude. It's funny. We've lived in Tucson. We are Italian, right? We've always, big Italian family. We've always, the pasta and all that nonsense. We've lived in Tucson since 2015, minus the small Virginia window. We have never eaten. We had never eaten there before.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it was okay. Listen, restaurants are restaurants to me. I'm cheap, so I don't really care. I'd rather make food at home or just have Dave cook me food on the Traeger. That's what makes me happy. But hey, that's what Andy wanted to do for her birthday. So that's what we did for her.
Happy belated to Andy.
Yeah. So anyway, episode 75, Dave. You want me to kick off numbers, or you want to kick off numbers today?
I'll kick it off.
You kick it off. Probably
one of the best, most recognizable guys of all time. Mean Joe Green. What a nickname.
Yep.
Mean Joe Green.
Absolutely.
And I'll be honest with you. I knew he was a great player, but until I went in and kind of dug into some of the stats on him, I didn't realize how good this dude actually was, right? So he was an All-American at North Texas State. Okay? North Texas State. That starts us off. He is the number one pick, 4 Super Bowls, Rookie of the Year, count him 10 Pro Bowls, 5-time All-NFL, All-Conference for 11 consecutive seasons, and he was the 2-time Defensive NFL Player of the Year. Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, he's got the great nickname, but dude, the accolades. Dude, you just literally rattle off numbers for like 30 straight seconds of everything that he's done. It's tremendous.
Crazy.
Tremendous.
And his nickname was Mean.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, great nickname. It kind of reminds you of you, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Just like me.
Well, the nickname, not the accolades, the nickname.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's good. Yeah. But you're right. Okay. So we got another one in the NFL. Deacon Jones. He was all league 6 straight seasons, 7 Pro Bowls. He was selected to 8. He didn't play in one. And he was the Defensive Player of the Year twice, and he was a member of an all-decade team, so pretty solid as well. And Jonathan Ogden, Baltimore Raven. Pretty good offensive lineman, 11 Pro Bowls, 6 All-Pro seasons. He was 2002 NFL Offensive Lineman of the Year. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's a member of an all-decade team as well, so pretty solid.
Yeah, for us, Ogden's probably the most famous common number 75 for our generation, anyways, because that's like 2003, 2001, 2002, where we all were like in high school aged and stuff, and those, So Ogden was a big one for sure.
Yeah.
This list is interesting. I got to ask a question because you put the list together this week. In baseball here, you put Barry Zito. Did he always wear 75? Because I'm pretty sure I always remember him wearing 75, right? Was he always wearing 75?
Yeah, he wore 75 for the majority. I think at least the majority of his career. I don't know if he ended up going somewhere else in the end, but yeah, it was 75. He had the longest run of it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure because I remember Barry Zito, World Series champ with Giants, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he was part of that big three in Oakland, don't forget.
Yes, that's where I remember him most from.
Yeah, Hudson.
And he didn't. Yep.
Zito, and was it Mulder?
Yep. I think it was.
Yeah.
He had a 15-year career, not an overly impressive ERA. He had a 4.04, so over 4. But what I remember most about him is that just ridiculous breaking ball he would throw. That was like a truly 12-6 curve that started at your head and ended at your toes or in the dirt. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, the lefty. Kind of like when you look at him, not statistically greatness comparison-wise, but kind of like Clayton Kershaw, right? That amazing 12-6 curveball. Kind of not like the fittest dude in the room, just but could go out there and just was a horse. Just go out there and just log innings, throw strikes. You know what I mean? Wasn't going to blow you away with his stuff, but he was just a reliable starting pitcher. And like I said, he's most famous for his Oakland days, but I'm pretty sure he won a World Series title with San Francisco in one of those years where they won 3 out of 5, the Bumgarner, those teams.
Yeah. And there's one other guy who stood out that wore 75. Now, he only wore it for 3 seasons, so it wasn't the majority of his career. But Francisco Rodriguez, better known as K-Rod, he wore it for 3 years. And over his career, 2.86 ERA, 437 saves, 1,142 strikeouts over 976 innings, hence his nickname K-Rod. He was pretty solid, so he made the list.
Listen, more strikeouts by a lot than innings pitched. That's pretty good.
That's solid. Real solid.
Yeah.
I did my best to find you a hockey player, but they just don't exist.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
There was 2, and they just weren't good.
I'm okay with that.
But I did find a racing.
Your favorite.
Number 75. Yes. Resident NASCAR fan. Neil Bonnet. He had 83 starts with the 75 car. Get this, 4-time winner. 18 top 5s, 39 top 10s. Tragically, though, he was killed in a practice for the Daytona 500 in 1994. Interestingly enough, as well, he was really good friends with Dale Earnhardt, who also died at the Daytona 500.
He was killed mid-race. I'll never forget.
He was.
Yeah. And that was the first year that Michael Waltrip won. I'll never forget it because I'm not a big racing buff, but do you remember where you were when it happened? And it was very late in that race when Earnhardt got killed. But Michael Waltrip won that race, and Darrell Waltrip was calling it in the booth as his younger brother, had won the race. And he's obviously Darrell Waltrip, boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys, right? That's what his famous line is. And I remember he was so happy and ecstatic that his brother was about to win the Daytona 500 that it kind of was obviously anything that could have happened that day in sports was overshadowed by the death of the Intimidator.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think you just proved though that you're more of a NASCAR guy than I am. So, resident NASCAR and hockey fan, goes to you.
Hey, listen. I am well versed in all sports.
I know. I can tell.
I can tell. You know what stinks? We can never do tennis history because there's no one in tennis wears a number. So that's what I want to talk about.
That's true.
Or golf.
That's true. When we cross the century mark, though, we're gonna have to change our format because of what these numbers have brought. So maybe we'll do something on the sports that we can't normally touch.
Yeah, we could do something now.
But before we move on to the Bible verse, I had a couple things, and this is actually a terrible segue. But speaking of athletes and dying, I know that's just terrible.
Where the fuck are you going with this?
So Bryce asks me all the time when I talk about like great players in history. He always asks me, he's like, do they still play? And I'll say, oh, no, they don't play anymore. He goes, are they dead? His instinct is always to go to, are they dead? And I just think I don't know why. It's just funny to me. Like, that's his, like, instinct to go to. And I'm like, no, they're one of the greats, And We talked about Michael Jordan. We've been talking about Shaq. He loves playing NBA 2K on PlayStation. So we'll play with the old teams. They have like era teams. So I'm always like the Orlando Magic from the 90s, and he likes the Bulls or the all-time Warriors. But he asks about these players, But he always asks if they're dead. And the other day he was playing with one of the all-star teams from the 2000s, and Kobe was on it. And I was like, oh, Kobe, one of the probably top 5 all-timers. And he's like, that's cool. Like, he goes, is he still playing? I'm like, no. He's like, is he dead? And I was like, actually, he is. This was the one. I was like, actually, he is, a couple of years ago, tragically. And but it got me thinking, like, as a player, as a professional player, you have such a small window of time where you're actually playing, and that your greatness lives on forever. But for those generations coming after you, like, it's so easy to have never even heard of you, or to just forget about you completely. And it's just interesting.
I think 2 things to that. Number one, there's no respect for the elderly anymore, so nobody respects historical anything anymore. And to tie that in together, my second point is I just think we live in such a here and now world. What have you done for me lately? World where everything is right at your fingertips, especially our kids' generation coming up now, where everything is it's right there. Like, they have no idea, you know what I mean, about anything. Where we were well versed in 70s and 80s and 90s basketball and baseball because of our parents, right? Because that's what you did, because there wasn't 452 channels and 450,000 YouTube stations and Netflix and all that other crap,
And it wasn't a look at me society then, as it is now with social media, like, in your face. He was I forgot what team he was, but he had Wilt Chamberlain on it. And I was telling him, like, why aren't you shooting with Wilt Chamberlain? Why aren't you getting the ball to Wilt? He's like, I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, let me show you who this guy is. And I showed him the picture of Wilt holding up the 100 sign.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's that mean? I go, he scored 100 points. He's like, by himself?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. He goes, in a game?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, there's that history there, that I think it's important as fathers we teach our kids about some of that stuff, because it is. That's what kind of creates the legends from the past, and gives these athletes now something to aspire to be like. So I agree.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points a game. The only other person I know is remember the UConn great Maya Moore. She scored 100 points in a high school game. And I'm trying to think. I don't think if I know anybody else that like Kobe had 81. Nope. That was amazing. Yeah. But 103 triple digits in a basketball game, dude.
It's ridiculous.
I wouldn't doubt it that Wayne Gretzky has scored 100 points in one hockey match before. I don't know if it's possible, if he's done it, but I wouldn't doubt it. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're the Gretzky historian, so if you haven't heard of it, I'm sure it hasn't happened.
I'd like to know. That's a record I want to find out. What is the most points scored in a single hockey game by one player? I want to know. Call up the stat man. Find our stat guy and ask him.
I will. We're going to have to do that.
The record for most points in a hockey match.
Okay, we'll look it up.
I like that. I
might look it up while I give you this next one. I got one more for you before we really dive into the show.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, the other day I saw that Eggo launched a new product. It's called Lego, and it's brunch in a jar. The Appalachian Sippin' Cream, which is alcohol. So they want to give parents an alcoholic option, I guess, at breakfast. Thoughts?
Yeah. Dude, you don't want me to go down this rabbit hole. Hey, listen, you know what my thoughts are? It's par for the course. That's my thoughts. It's par for the course of the state of the country that we're in and how fat and disgusting this country is. It's par for the course. I'll never forget 15 years ago when we were out of college and getting into our working careers. Remember Pinnacle Vodka came out with whipped. Remember, it was the whipped cream vodka that came out, and it was the fucking craze. And ever since that day when that one came out, because that was like the first glass ceiling that broke, you got away from just standard old vodka and whiskey and gin. And that broke the mold, and all the kids went nuts for it. And ever since then, dude, I am never surprised with what kind of bullshit they come up with in the liquor store now.
Oh.
But yeah, so part of me wants to just lose my mind on these fat asses that drink in the alcoholics, but part of me is like, dude, it's par for the course, man. That's who we are.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
All right. Yeah, I don't agree. I don't disagree. I think it's ridiculous. but whatever. I found an answer to your question. Most points in a game.
You did?
Guess who holds the record?
Yep. Wayne Gretzky.
Nope, he doesn't.
Who's? Well, let me get three guesses.
He's tied for second.
Okay,
with a bunch of people.
Three guesses.
Go ahead. Okay. Yeah. You're never gonna get it.
Is it a famous hockey player?
You're never gonna get it. You'd be better off to guess. No, you'd be better off to guess where they're from. Okay. Country of origin.
Canada.
Nailed it.
Okay, who is it?
Ding, ding, ding. Daryl Sittler. Daryl Sittler. He had 10 points in a game, 6 goals, 4 assists.
It's a game.
Back in 1976.
That's a game.
And then Wayne Gretzky tied with a bunch of people with 8.
That's still insane. Yeah, but the thing about
Mario Lemieux is part of that team, part of that group of 8.
Gretzky probably did it like 42 times, though.
Nope. Mario Lemieux did it twice.
Ooh.
But Gretzky only did it once.
Wow. Cool.
So there you go.
There you go. Stat.
All right.
Stat boy.
Let's hit the Bible verse.
All right. Bible verse comes from Proverbs 17. It actually is 17 Proverbs, okay? A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity. I read that, and it just rings true right now in this world that we live in to have that tight knit group, right? And I tied into full force fathers. We're full force fathers. We have to be there for each other because there's a lot of adversity going on right now. I know in my industry, there's a lot of changing. There's a lot of layoffs happening. So being there for somebody, and the other thing I want to say is, don't burn the bridge, right? If something is to happen, right, you lose your job or something like that, don't burn that bridge. Be cordial, be polite, be friendly, because you never know when you're going to need that person, because a brother is born for a time of adversity, because you never know. I got to lean on Dave, or Dave's got to lean on me, that you need that brotherhood. And that's what Full Force Fathers, it's a brotherhood of fathers to be there for each other for times of adversity. Because when times are good, nobody thinks, right? It's just, we're free, blah, 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 everything's great. But when times of adversity strike, you need to have a brother and in a great circle when it happens.
But not agree with you more. Well said.
Yeah. So anyway, today, one topic I wanted to hop on, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to run through it. I put the main topic in there, and I put a bunch of bullet points underneath it. We're going to just kind of hit them all, but we're going to just kind of riff off each other. And I want to talk about this topic because it's happened to me. It's happened to me currently, recently. It happened to me, even though, everyone thinks I'm this robot, and what I want to talk about is this. It is amazing how quick we can fall off the wagon, right? And you could use that slogan in anything, whether you're an alcoholic or you're this or you're that. Falling off the wagon is kind of like it's a term used like if you were not drinking for a while, you fell back off the wagon, start drinking again. But I mean it as a general sense, how fast we can fall off the wagon without even knowing it. And then all of a sudden one day you're just like, man, I've come down a lot, or I've gained a few pounds, or I've slacked at work, or, and the reason it is so hard to be extremely disciplined all the time. It is very, very difficult to be disciplined on your A game all the time, staying sharp. And it goes to show, and this is personally for me, just recently, obviously I'm in the middle of a 50-mile training plan. I'm not slacking by any stretch of the imagination in my exercise. But I found myself, and I mentioned this to you last week, Dave, when we were talking about the show for this week, I find myself slipping in little areas, right? And for me, it's always been like a nighttime snack, right? And that's where I found myself slipping, and I caught myself, and I said to, and Andine were walking. I remember exactly. It was last Thursday. Andine and I were on a walk at 5:30 in the morning. I said, babe, I've been really locked in with work and not, but man, I'm being a real bitch at night. Like I'm having snacks. I'm doing dumb shit, eating shit late for no reason, not because I'm hungry, but just because I'm bored. And I wanted to bring it to the attention of the Full Force Fathers. I mean, man, we're not all perfect, but it's just like all of a sudden, like, for example, right? So like 75 hard ended, phase 3 ended, totally dialed in. I kept going with it. And then all of a sudden it's just like, man, I had a snack last night, and for me, the girls each, usually have a treat or whatever they have at night. While they're watching TV or something, a little bit of TV time that they get, after dinner and stuff. And I was like, man, I thought myself like, oh, I'm going to have a piece of peanut butter toast or a couple chocolate chips with, with this or that. And I'm like, but it's so quick. One night turns into 2 nights, 2 nights turns into 3 nights. And then 3 nights, all of a sudden, you don't even realize it until you're a week and a half down the road. And then you catch yourself and you're like, holy shit, dude, I've been off. And I don't know how you speak of it, but that's how I look at it. Like, it's just so easy. Even if you are the most disciplined person, we've said it on the show before, when I'm not on 75 hard, dude, I catch myself slipping all the fucking time. And it's like, and I hate it, but it's normal. Like, when you're not so regimented and whatnot, I just think it happens, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does happen. And nighttime snacks, that's a big one. That's a big one for me too. I've been really good for the last couple months, like really super hyper focused. But discipline does wear off, and it does catch you, right? Like I found last week, I had popcorn a couple nights of the week. Same thing. That's a habit that I've had for years and years. Every night after dinner, Case and I'll sit down, watch some TV, and I'll have some popcorn. So that's been a hard one for me to break, but I found myself, I did it a couple times last week, and I was like, okay, I got to stop this because I know how much better I feel when I don't do it,
Yeah.
right? But it just happens one time, 2 times. And it can happen in all areas of your life. You don't go to church one week. All of a sudden, the next week, you don't go to church.
Yeah.
You look back, you haven't been there for 3 or 4 weeks, and you're like, what the heck's going on here? I'm like losing all my focus. Maybe you stop reading every day. Those things, it can impact you in all different areas of your life. It's not just in food. It's not just in exercise. It happens in money all the time. You can be really diligent. I'm sticking to my budget. And then all of a sudden, man, you have a bad day and you go to your old habit spending and you just dive in and you spend money on something that you shouldn't. It's really hard to be focused and disciplined every single day, but it's something we've got to just keep working at.
Yeah. For me, like you said, everyone has their own vice or their own thing that gets like what can derail them. Like you said, it could be anything. It could be church. It could be working out, skip a workout, or go, don't go as hard on a workout. A lot of people, they hit the snooze button in the morning, instead of getting up and getting after it. Well, you hit the snooze button once because it's more comfortable and cozy in that bed. Guess what? Now you're 15 minutes behind. Then you don't get the gym workout in, and the day spirals. And it's always easier to continue to spiral after you break the cycle, right? Or if you drink too many beers and you finally pee once, right, in college, you broke the seal. Now you're going to be peeing every 15 minutes. And that's where you can go off the rails. And like I said, it's, it could be anything. For me, it's the nighttime snack. It could be, how about work, right? This could be, you mentioned the faith aspect, right? You miss church one week because something comes up, or you're like, oh, well, just don't worry about it because, we did it last week. Oh, it's all right if you miss another week. But work, right? You don't respond to that email right away and you just miss it. You slip it. You don't respond to a phone call. You don't make the phone call and it just, discipline is so important and so key. And when you miss it or you mess it up or you forget it or and I saw something on the internet. I'm not going to take credit for this, but I'm going to say what I saw in terms of discipline and, how often people slip up, or some people just say, well, I'm good during the week. I'm going to just get after it on the weekends. Right. So I saw something because I stress routine a lot, and most people, oh, I'm good on the weekend. But on the weekend, you just, you miss the gym, you drink on the weekends, you eat like shit on the weekends. Did you know if you are good, great every day, Monday through Friday, but on the weekends, you just let yourself go? I did the math equation. 5 out of 7 days is only 71% good. That's a C minus. That's bad, right? I'm good during the week, but on the weekends, you slip up. Every weekend, you go out drinking with the boys. You go play around the golf. You go sit down. Football season starting. You're drinking 6-pack of beer on Sundays, and on Saturdays, you're getting after a college football. Dude, 71%. Yeah, you may think you're doing great because Monday through Friday you're hitting the gym, but the weekend you're screwing yourself.
And the percentage is probably even higher because when you go off the rails, you go off the rails.
Yeah.
it's not like you're just like, I'm gonna have a beer tonight. You usually have 3 beers or 4 beers.
Yeah.
Like if for me, like if I'm gonna have junk food, like I have junk food. Like it's not one meal. It's like legit like nonstop junk food all day long.
Yeah.
Because once I taste it, once I have something that's bad, I'm like, well, today's wrecked. So I spiral all day long. So
Yeah.
that's a great take, a great point there.
Yeah. You know, and even if you upped it to 6, so let's just say on Sundays it's football season. Sundays you're going to go after it. You're going to get your wings. You're going to drink your beer. If you're good 6 days a week, 6 out of 7 days is still, I know it's a B, but it's still only 85%. So that's still 15%. And I try to live a 95.5. I've said that on the show before. You try to live a 95.5 lifestyle. And it's really, you know, it's discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to be 95.5. But 6 out of 7 is 85%.
So is a 95.5 basically having one meal a week that you just don't really care about that much? You're like, whatever. Tonight's the night we have pizza,
I kind of, yeah.
I skipped a workout, or like, what does that look like for you?
If I'm full on like 95.5 lifestyle, like that's like, dude, one night I'll have an Oreo or something. You know what I mean? The kids are having a treat or a bite of ice cream or a handful.
That might be a little extreme for the average person.
But it's not though, because if you think about it, bigger picture, right? 6 out of 7 nights is 85% good. If you go 27 out of 30 days, so let's just say the average month is 30 days. If you are 27 days on the fucking ball, gym, health, food, you name it, work, in 3 days a month, you slack off, that's still only 90%. That's that's an A minus. That's an A minus. Now don't get me wrong. That's a debt. You make the dean's list in college. If you have a 90 average, you're on a roll and all that other bullshit.
You're better than most. So what's the key to stopping it? Yeah, it's easy to slip, right? It's easy to let that discipline. What is the key? We like giving practical advice to people to be able to help them in their daily lives.
Mm-hmm. What's
the practical piece of advice here to say, you know what, catch yourself before you get to the point where you're like, this is now, I've done more harm to myself than I could have imagined.
Key is this, and it's kind of an old school way of thinking, and because everybody likes to use their phones, right? Go get yourself a notebook, a steno pad like this, right? Just a red. This one is red. Just one of these. And I want everyone to do this. It's a challenge. Here's a challenge from the Full Force Fathers this week. Every day for the next week, 7 days, so you listen to our next episode next week. So if you don't get the book, whatever day you get the book, whether it's today, tomorrow, whenever you listen to this.
You don't even need a book.
You don't even
grab a piece of paper.
Grab a piece of paper. And I want you to write down in detail every single thing you do each day. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, I want you to write all the details down. What you ate, where you went, what did you do for work that day, what was your workout that day? Because this is also for historical reference. Mm-hmm. If you write down your workouts, sometimes you have a killer workout, and then 6 months down the road, you're like, man, or 6 weeks down the road, you're like, man, what was that great workout that left me? If you write it down, you have a historical log. And I have logs and logs and logs of my workouts. I used to do this all the time for my workouts. But this is a way to see if you catch yourself if you're slipping. Go 7 days, write it down on computer paper, notebook paper. If you got a steno pad, write it down, everything from sun up to sundown. And then you will see yourself where you have too much downtime. Maybe your scheduling's off, your routine's a little off, and do it for a week and just see. And then tell me what your percentage is. How on a Full Force Father scale from 0 to 100, where were you? Were you 75% good? Were you 95% good? Were you freaking 40% good because you had a birthday party and this and that? And be honest with yourself. Take a strong accountability factor on yourself and write every single thing down that you do. Eat, sleep, how you slept, you know what I mean? How much water you took. Literally all the juicy details for an entire week, and then check back in. And you'd be surprised at what you do and don't do, and how much time you waste or don't waste, and what you eat. Everything. There's probably apps out there for this, but I'm just an old school person. I like to write things down.
I like it. Good tip.
Yeah. That's a practical piece of advice that you can use on this. So anyway, so that is your topic, your main topic today. One thing I need to rant on really, really fast before I get to my book recommendation. Dave heard me. I freaking texted him and called him like 16 times in a row. And I said, dude, and I was so fucking heated, dude. You know what I hate? And I'm not going to mention names, but I'm going to just mention a scenario that happened in my life that pissed me off. Don't have poor customer service skills. Don't piss off your customers that you've had for 8 to 10 years. Don't lie. Don't try to manipulate.
Loyal customers.
Don't try to manipulate. Don't try to make the words sound different than they are. Don't try to present it as what it's not. I literally just had a conversation with a company that I've been working with for this is my 9th year. And they were making some changes, monthly service changes and stuff. And they literally, without telling you, because they tried to word it differently in an email, tried to double charge. I mean, literally 2 times what they were charging. And they told you it was due to inflation. So essentially, I'll give you, it was a $42 monthly service for something. They gave you the option, hey, due to inflation, we're going up to $55 a month, or you can go to every other month, $45. So I said, Andy and I we're on a budget. Let's go to the every other month, $45. So that's $3 more, but we actually save money. So I look at my bank statement, and they charged me this month $45. And I said, that's weird. No one came and performed that service. So I called there. I'm like, hey, I just wanted to ask you why I got charged $45 this month. I obviously got charged last month for the service, but we decided to go every other. And they're like, well, that's the new monthly fee. I said, monthly fee? I said, I'm going every other month. I'm like, yeah, we're like Netflix now. We're breaking it down so it's monthly charge. And I said, like Netflix?
But Netflix gives you movies all the time.
Yeah, but Netflix gives you the service all the time. And I said to these people, I said, I've been a loyal customer. You switched my customer service representative without telling me. And then you went from $42 a month for a 12-month service to $45 every month, but only getting the service every month. So I told her, and this is the kicker. I said, so you're telling me I'm paying $90 every other month now when I was paying $42.50 a month? And she goes, well, it's kind of like that. And I said, no, there's no kind of, it's math. I am getting 6 services for $45 every month. So 12 charges for 6 services. I said, so that's math. It's so $42.50 to $90. I said, that's more than 2 times more. And they're like, well, the service is supposed to last the 60 days. I said, but you're telling me I could have went from 42 to 55 and stayed every month. I said, or I'm going every other month and paying $90. And Dave was like, dude, you're too nice. I would have canceled on the spot.
I would have canceled on the spot. I would have canceled on the spot, and I would have had a few choice words for him, too. I mean, that is absolutely ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah.
And for her to be like, yeah, I mean, I guess you could put it like that. No, that's exactly how it needs to be put, because that's what you're doing. You're bending me over, and that's what's happening.
Yep, taking it up the tailpipe.
And you know how many people that probably happened to this month? And you know what, dude? You mentioned this when we chatted about it the other day. So many people don't check their bank records.
They don't check their bank statements.
They don't check their bank statements. And they're just going to get whacked. They're going to absolutely get whacked on it. And yeah, that's customer service everywhere, man. That is what it is right now.
It's awful.
It's awful. I don't know if it's just a shortage of companies that can do the stuff, so they just feel like they can do whatever they want, or it's just our just not giving a shit about anything as a society.
And
or like whatever.
And you know this. I've talked this world. I've referred this company to other people for years. They literally have never. Yeah. And this is the thing that makes me upset is for 8 years it was $42.50. From 2015 all the way up to the beginning of this year, it was $42.50. They never changed their price, not with inflation, not with anything, because they were loyal to their customers. So instead of just saying, hey, man, we got to up your price $5 a month or $6 a month for inflation, you literally went and fucked up your whole entire system, and probably I'm going to lose a bunch of customers because you were so faithful to your loyal customers, and then all of a sudden you shoved it right up their ass by making it be more than double.
But I think that goes to show, like, there's a point at which you're being too loyal to your customers. Yeah. Like, inflation really is a thing.
Yeah.
And it affects businesses too. They got to get their product. They've got to pay people. Like, customers realize that. If you're treating them well and you're showing up on time, you're doing the service well, you're polite, people understand you got to increase your prices. So if you just increased your prices over the years a little bit, just to keep up with that sort of thing, that's a thing that, I mean, every big company does that with service charges. Like everything goes up.
Yep.
It just happens, and it is. And I think customers get that. But then when you just like you hold it there, and then you're like, oh man, I feel like Disney did this after COVID. They lost so much money during COVID. Then they came out of it and they increased prices everywhere, just and their stock took a fucking shit because people weren't having it because you charge too much. Well, now you're in the situation where you're like trying to like sneakily charge double for a service. Like, get the fuck out! It's so stupid. So they should be ashamed of themselves.
50% of the service and double the price.
Yes,
unbelievable.
Technically more than double the price. Technically more.
Yeah, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Double the price for 50% of the service. Yeah,
that's absurd. Well, you've had your fair share of customer service issues out there since you moved back to Arizona. I mean, it's pretty cool that you can get your pool cleaned in the dark. That's pretty interesting. We won't go there. That's a story for another day.
That's a story for another day. But anyways, real quick, because we got to run. I grabbed this book.
Overnight pool service.
Pool service by moonlight. That's what they should change their name to. Book recommendation. I think I've recommended this one before, but it's on my desk and it's what I'm poking through right now. How to Make Shit Happen by Sean Whalen. Core 4, if you don't know it, go read it. It's a great book. It's a very fast book. It's a very fast book to read. Sean Whalen, if you don't know him, Lion's Not Sheep. He doesn't give a fuck. He's a true American patriot. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He makes good quality product. He built that business from the ground up after going bankrupt once. He's got a great story. Go read that book. It talks about a story, and it talks about something that he talks about, which is Core 4, power, passion, purpose, and production. He lives his life by that standard. So go check out his book, How to Make Shit Happen.
Great recommendation. Great show today. Happy 75. Everybody continue to live the full force life. We got homework for you this week. Get a piece of paper, get a notebook, track what you're doing. Make sure you're not slipping on those things. Give yourself a grade, see how you're really doing, and let us know about it. And we're going to see you next week, episode 76.